of you would be so kind as to take your seats, we'd like to start the session. Yeah. Yes. Going once, going twice, sold. All right. Okay. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. So, just to make sure you're in the right place, this is the unconference session about the concept of nodes in EOSC. So hopefully you're all here for that reason, okay? So myself, Bob Jones, member of the Board of Directors of the Association, and Sebastian, we're co-organizers of this event, this unconference session. So it's not like your typical sessions for the rest of the week, and you're going to have to do some work, okay? I know, yeah, that's strange, isn't it? But we're going to start with a little introduction to begin with, to put you in the mood, to set the scene so you understand what we're talking about. And then we're going to cut you loose, and Sebastian is going to explain to you all the hard work you have to do for 45 minutes. Yeah? All right. If we can start then. All right. So, okay. I have. No. Okay. If we can go back in the slides that were in Google Doc, that'd be great. That's the one. Perfect. Thank you very much. Yes, so as I said, we're here talking about the concept of nodes, and it's an unconference session. Now, as a bit of background, the concept of the node, it's not something we're introducing off the top of our heads already, right? It was been here in the history of EOSC, maybe lying under the radar, but it's something that's been there for a while. Back in 2018, the EOSC pilot, one of the projects that set up the EOSC structure and activities, that identified nodes as an important concept in the creation of EOSC. And it highlighted that that EOSC would be a federation of nodes, of many existing nodes. And this is an important point, because one of the things that's come across in the discussions we've had so far is, of course, EOSC isn't starting from green fields. There's lots of existing federations and structures out there already. And so we have to see how we bring all those elements together. So as this text extract from EOSC pilot at the time highlighted, that it was foreseen that EOSC would be a federation of many existing nodes, and there may be some additional ones that get created as we go along. Okay. There's discussion reignited at the General Assembly of the EOSC Association in May of this year, when we had a roundtable structure and we were discussing these things. We started to touch on the idea of the ongoing procurement that is organized by the the European Commission, and people were not fully aware of what that really meant. They weren't aware of what the concept of the nodes would imply and what it would come out of from that procurement. And this is a summary slide that came out of the roundtable discussions, highlighting that, yeah, basically as a community, we need to understand better what the concept of a node meant and what it would change or imply for EOSC itself. So based on that, as the association, we agreed that we should try and gather our input from our members, from the community at large, and we arranged to organize a couple of workshops. First one was with the mandated organizations, so the national representatives, if you want, inside the association. That was organized on the 8th of September. And then we had a follow-up 1 week later with many of the research infrastructures who are also members of the EOSC Association. That was on the 15th. And now we have this unconference session here today at the symposium. Of course, that's co-organized with our colleagues from Switch and from Gion. We set out for these sessions a number of questions, provocative questions, to try and help us explain or explore what is the concept of nodes and what the implications are for EOSC. And you can see those slides, those questions listed there. And we've used those during the sessions up until now. But as it says at the bottom, you know, this is the start of the discussions. It's not the end. Nothing's written in stone. This is our opportunity to form better definitions and understanding of what are nodes and what role they would play in the EOSC Federation. And things are moving literally day by day. I've extracted a few slides that are containing new material that appeared this week at this event. So already Michel Schub from DG RTD showed this slide at the opening day, where you see at the bottom the idea of the procurement is leading to an EU node that will provide for the next couple of years core functionalities to the EOSC Federation. And there you see a little diagram at the bottom highlighting that it recognizes, of course, that there's more than one node. It's a federation, there are lots of nodes, and they can be national nodes, thematic nodes, and regional nodes, and nodes from e-infrastructures. So there's a whole variation of the nodes. So it's not just one set type of node, and they can all coexist. Okay. Also this week from DG RTD, Gustav showed this model where we're using the architecture model that's been in our material for a number of years now, showing the core with the core services, the federated data, the exchange of related services, and then the overall structure around that and the elements, and indicating in what DG Connect foresees to procure and operate as part of the EU node. So essentially the parts in blue. So some of the core services and some of what they refer to horizontal services. So essentially services such as compute, storage, data transfer and so on, and other analytical services that can be used by different communities that go beyond the core, and highlighting that, you know, it's linked to the concept of the data space, and that it basically puts a seed in the ground which can be used to sort of grow the EOSC Federation and offer additional services and a blueprint for how other nodes could be created. So again, this is quite new. This is coming out the week. You know, where things are evolving as we speak, day by day. Okay. Also this week, Mark Dietrich from EGI had a brave attempt at trying to understand what would be the consequences on the overall architecture if we deploy in a node model, highlighting that there are some federating services which are required across all nodes, and you can see those ones there, and that there may be variations in terms of the core services at each node and variations in the exchange services at each node. So again, saying there's not one size fits all. There can be different parts of those as well. Another interesting thing that Mark highlighted as well was that what we're really interested in is the box at the top, the users, and the boxes at the bottom, which is the services and the data. And everything in between is just noise, and we have to keep that as simple as possible as we can. Okay. Another brave man, Diego from EGI, had an attempt at trying to give a definition of what is a node as well, and that's written there at the bottom, definition of what is a node. It's quite small text, I'm not going to go through it. But you see, people at different parties are contributing to the conversation and trying to help us elaborate our understanding of what are nodes and how it fits to the overall federation. But there's no correct answer yet. We have to still keep working on this. Also, the question of national nodes, yeah, because we said there could be thematic, regional, e-infrastructures, and of course national nodes. And York from NFDI in Germany highlighted their views on what would be a national node. And I highlight the two important things, right? We're trying to bridge together the top-down and bottom-up model inside this node, and that can be a useful goal of a node as well. But also highlighting that it represents the member states with equal rights of co-determination and decision-making for all matters in the context of EOSC. So we see that there's also an element of governance into the concept of nodes as well. So there's a technical part, there's a service part, there's also the governance, and there's also a policy part that comes around with the concepts of nodes. Yeah. And what I have here as well, I said we had 2 earlier workshops, and I've put down a summary of the points, major points that were raised there, first of all with the mandated organizations. The first point coming out is that the mandated organizations saw nodes as adding value and as a way of grouping essentially fair data and services that have shared policies and shared ownership or responsibility. So that sort of bounds somehow a node. And noting as well that a node itself can itself be a federation. Within a node, there can be other nodes, sort of cascading model as well. So I won't go through them in details, but just to say this information is being collected. Similarly, for the research infrastructures as well, they highlight there was some findings around the federation of the nodes, and also specifically around the node itself. First thing, again, remembering is that the focus has to be the researchers, right? We can put these models in place, but in the end, EOSC has to give a seamless experience to the end users, the researchers, if it is going to add value to them as well. That's an important point to bear in mind. And the other one on the other side I would highlight is saying, okay, it's all very good that we're starting with the EU node as a starting point. That's very positive. But if you want to have a federation, you have to have at least 2 nodes. Otherwise, how are you going to say it's a federation? So you've got to have some way of testing it and making sure they can work together. And this is something that has to be taken into account in the planning of how we put in place these nodes. So those are sort of a very whistle-stop tour of the thinking that's gone on up until now about nodes. And I just sort of highlight the fact is that you see that the node concept, it's pretty much where the governance, the policy, and the architecture come together. So it's an important concepts, and it dealing with many of the aspects that are affecting EOSC and our development of EOSC. Now, you know, the EC has put a stake in the ground by doing the procurement of the EC node. We should take that opportunity. We would have to have this discussion about nodes and how our federation works, whether the EC created that node or not, right? So it's given us a perfect opportunity to have this conversation now and clarify our thinking and how we want to work together in the future. So let's try and use this session to sort of get our collective understanding of EOSC nodes and develop them further. So that's the end of the little introduction. Sebastian?
Thank you, Bob. So I have this difficult role now to try and organize this room into a more collaborative setting. I'm not doing this alone. There are some 6 to 9 facilitators in this room. Now, can they please stand up? There should be 1 facilitator in each of these sections. And what we're going to do now is basically we try to rearrange the chairs in a way that we have 6 to 9 round tables. And then the facilitators are going to guide you through a number of the questions. Essentially, they have all the same template. So every group is going through the same questions. The facilitators are going to document what is being said in the groups. A group should not be larger than 12 people if possible. And then essentially you have 45 minutes to discuss these 3 questions. After that, there's a small break where the facilitators are going to elaborate on a summary of the various groups. After the break, there will be the presentations of the summaries and also a discussion on open questions. And with this, I'm asking the facilitators to please organize their various areas. Good luck.
Yeah, so if we sort of divide the room down the middle and in 3 sections, that way we at least have 6. We're guessing there are about 90 to 100 of you here. If you look at the rows of chairs, if you turn one row around the other way, we can at least make that sort of a space. Yeah, have to come as well? Okay.